For 3 years, Adam Walsh protected Marilyn Monroe. What he witnessed behind closed doors has haunted him for decades. Now at 89 years old, he's finally ready to tell the truth. March 15, 1959, Adam Walsh stood outside Marilyn Monroe's bedroom door, listening to her cry through the night for the 3rd time that week. What he witnessed during his 3 years as her personal bodyguard would haunt him for over 6 decades. Tonight, at 89 years old, he's breaking his silence about the woman behind the legend and the shocking truths that nearly destroyed them both. But the most heartbreaking part wasn't what the world saw. It was what happened when the cameras stopped rolling and nobody else was watching. January 12, 1959, the job that changed everything. Adam Walsh was 28, a former Marine and Boston cop, when he got the call that would flip his world upside down. Milton Green, Marilyn's business partner, needed someone discreet, professional, and totally trustworthy. "Mr. Walsh," Green said during their meeting at New York's Carlisle Hotel, "this isn't just about keeping crazy fans away. Miss Monroe's biggest threats aren't always strangers on the street." Adam had done celebrity security before, but nothing could have prepared him for what was coming. "Here's the thing you gotta understand," Green continued. "Marilyn isn't what people think. She's one of the smartest women I've ever met, but she's also incredibly fragile. You're protecting both sides of her." When Adam first met Marilyn at her Manhattan apartment, he was totally thrown off. This wasn't the platinum blonde bombshell from the movies. Her hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, natural light brown, zero makeup, just regular clothes and a book of poetry in her hands. "You must be Adam," she said, looking up with those famous blue eyes that somehow seemed both bright and deeply sad at the same time. "Milton says you're going to take care of me. Hope you're ready for this wild ride." Adam would later say that moment hit him like a truck. He saw both Marilyn Monroe, the superstar, and Norma Jean, the real person, and realized his job was going to be way more complicated than he'd signed up for. February 1959, the real Marilyn nobody ever saw. Within just a few weeks, Adam saw stuff that completely shattered everything he thought he knew about Marilyn Monroe. This woman, who looked so confident and sexy on screen, was often terrified to even leave her apartment. She'd spend literally hours getting ready just to go buy groceries, Adam remembered. Not because she was obsessed with how she looked, but because she was genuinely scared of how people would react to her. She'd put on that Marilyn persona like it was body armor, but I could see how much it drained her. One morning, Adam walked into Marilyn's apartment and found her sitting on the kitchen floor, crying over a fan letter. "This little girl wrote to me," Marilyn said, showing Adam a note written in crayon by some 8-year-old. "She says her dad told her Marilyn Monroe is a bad woman, but she still loves my movies. How am I supposed to explain to a kid that I'm not the person they think I am?" That letter thing showed Adam something huge. Marilyn didn't care about public opinion because of ego. She genuinely wanted to be worthy of all the love people gave her. Wait, don't miss this detail. What Adam discovered about Marilyn's 3 a.m. routine explains everything about her sleep problems. March 1959, the Midnight Confessions. Adam's deepest look into Marilyn's mind came during those long, sleepless nights. Marilyn couldn't sleep to save her life, and during these dark hours, she'd open up to Adam about her biggest fears and wildest dreams. Her brain just wouldn't shut off, Adam remembered. She'd pace around her apartment, reading poetry, writing in journals, or just talking about everything that worried her. These weren't the random thoughts of someone losing it. These were deep philosophical questions from someone who thought way too much. One night in March 1959, Marilyn asked Adam something that stuck with him forever. "Do you think you can love someone you've never actually met? Because I love all these people who write to me, who watch my movies, but they don't really love me back. They love some idea of me. How do you live with that kind of one-way love?" Adam was blown away by how lonely that sounded. "Miss Monroe, maybe that love is real, even if it's based on what they see of you in movies. You put something genuine into those performances. But what if the genuine part isn't enough?" Marilyn shot back. "What if when they see the real me, they hate what they find?" These conversations showed Adam that Marilyn's problems weren't just about fame or pressure. They were about this fundamental question of whether she was actually worth loving as herself, not as some character she played. April 1959. The stalker incident that changed everything, the thing that really tested Adam's protection skills, went down on April 23, 1959. This guy, Robert Clayton, had been sending creepy letters to Marilyn for months, and that night, he showed up at her building. "I was doing my usual evening check when I spotted him in the lobby," Adam said. "He wasn't even trying to hide, just standing there with a dozen roses and some manila envelope, staring up at her floor like he owned the place." When Adam approached Clayton, the guy's response gave him chills. "I'm here to save her from herself. She needs me. We're supposed to be together." What happened next was this intense standoff that lasted almost an hour. Clayton wasn't violent, but he was completely delusional, totally convinced that Marilyn had been sending him secret messages through her movies. The scary part wasn't that he was going to hurt someone, Adam said. It was that he genuinely believed he was helping her. He talked about her like they were dating, like they had this whole relationship. He knew details about her daily routine that meant he'd been watching her for weeks. This whole thing shook Marilyn way more than Adam expected. That night, she told him something that explained why she was always so anxious about public appearances. "Adam, there are hundreds of guys like him out there. People who think they know me, who think they have some right to me. How do I keep being nice to fans when I can't tell which ones might be dangerous?" But here's what Adam discovered that night that completely changed how he understood Marilyn's relationship with fame. May 1959, the fan letter obsession. After the stalker thing, Adam started paying way more attention to how Marilyn dealt with her fan mail. What he found was both amazing and heartbreaking. Every single morning, Marilyn spent 2 solid hours reading every piece of fan mail. Not just the sweet ones. She read the nasty ones too. The ones calling her names or making threats. I asked her why she tortured herself reading the hate mail. Adam remembered. She goes, "Because if I only read the nice letters, I'll start thinking I'm perfect. And if I'm not perfect, then I'm lying to everyone who loves me." But get this, Marilyn would personally write back to letters from kids and from people who seemed like they were struggling. Adam watched her spend entire afternoons writing encouraging notes to teenage girls who felt ugly, or to young women who wrote about feeling completely lost. She would literally cry over these letters, Adam said. Letters from girls saying Marilyn made them feel beautiful, or from women saying her movies helped them through really dark times. She felt personally responsible for all of them. One letter hit both Marilyn and Adam really hard. It was from this 16-year-old girl named Susan who'd been in a car crash and was paralyzed from the waist down. Susan wrote that watching Marilyn's movies from her hospital bed reminded her that she could still be beautiful, still matter, Adam remembered. Marilyn didn't just write back. She arranged to visit Susan at the hospital. She spent a whole afternoon there, not as Marilyn Monroe, the movie star, but as a friend who got what it felt like to feel broken. June 1959, the Arthur Miller drama. Adam's job got way more complicated when Marilyn married Arthur Miller. Suddenly, he wasn't just protecting Marilyn, he was dealing with the drama of a marriage that was falling apart. Miller was brilliant, no doubt, but he completely didn't get the whole Marilyn thing, Adam observed. He wanted to save her from Hollywood, but he didn't realize that performing was how she dealt with her emotions. When he criticized her career, he was basically criticizing who she was. Adam witnessed several brutal fights between Marilyn and Arthur, usually about her work commitments or her need for sleeping pills. Arthur thought she was weak because she needed pills to function, Adam said. But I watched her fight every single day just to get out of bed and face the world. Those pills weren't weakness. They were what let her keep giving so much of herself to other people. The worst incident happened during a dinner party at their Connecticut house. A bunch of Arthur's intellectual friends were discussing Marilyn like she wasn't even there, analyzing her performances and her public image like she was some lab specimen. Marilyn just sat there listening to them tear her apart, Adam remembered. Finally, she excused herself and went to her room. I found her later, reading a philosophy book and taking notes in the margins. She was trying to educate herself to be good enough for Arthur's world, but she was already smarter than most of them gave her credit for. You haven't seen the most shocking moment yet, because what Adam witnessed that night would completely change everything he thought he knew about Marilyn. August 1959, the night that revealed everything. The incident that gave Adam the deepest look into who Marilyn really was happened on August 14, 1959, during what should have been just a regular night at home. Adam was doing his usual 11 p.m. security check when he heard Marilyn talking to someone in the living room. When he checked it out, he found her on the phone, talking softly to someone who was obviously in major distress. "I don't care what time it is, honey," Marilyn was saying. "You called because you needed someone to talk to, and I'm right here." That call went on for 2.5 hours. Adam found out later it was from this young woman named Carol, a struggling actress who'd written to Marilyn months before about feeling suicidal. Marilyn had given Carol her personal phone number and told her to call whenever she felt hopeless, Adam revealed. That night wasn't the first call, and it definitely wasn't the last. Marilyn was basically running her own suicide prevention hotline from her living room. What blew Adam's mind was how different Marilyn sounded during these calls. Gone was that breathy, vulnerable voice everyone knew. Instead, she spoke with wisdom, strength, and total conviction. She told Carol, "The world wants to convince you that you're not enough, but that's because they're scared of how much you actually are. Don't you dare let their fear become your truth." After the call ended, Adam asked Marilyn why she took on such heavy emotional stuff. "Because I know exactly what it feels like to want to disappear," she said simply, "and I know that sometimes one person believing in you is the difference between giving up and holding on." September 1959. The prescription drug reality. One of the most controversial things about Marilyn's life was her use of prescription drugs, and Adam had a front row seat to what was really going on. "People think she was just some addict who popped pills to get high," Adam said, "but I watched her struggle with insomnia so bad she'd go 4 or 5 days without sleeping. I watched her have panic attacks so intense she literally couldn't breathe. The medications weren't for fun, they were for survival." Adam saw Marilyn working with multiple doctors trying to find solutions that would let her function without becoming totally dependent on drugs. She tried therapy, meditation, exercise routines, diet changes, everything. She was constantly trying to get better, Adam remembered, but the pressure of being Marilyn Monroe never stopped. Every public appearance was this performance that required massive emotional energy. The pills weren't the problem. They were her attempt at solving an impossible situation. The most heartbreaking moment came when Marilyn asked Adam to help her count her pills one night. She said, "I want to make sure I'm not taking more than I think I am. Will you help me keep track?" She was trying so hard to stay in control of her own healing. October 1959. The kindness nobody ever saw. Throughout his time with Marilyn, Adam witnessed countless acts of generosity that she never let anyone publicize. These weren't calculated PR stunts. They were spontaneous expressions of genuine compassion. We'd be driving somewhere, and she'd see some homeless person on a street corner. She'd make me stop the car, and she'd get out and actually talk to them. Not just throw money at them. Have real conversations. One October afternoon, Marilyn noticed their regular taxi driver, this elderly guy named Frank, seemed unusually exhausted. Marilyn asked him about it, and Frank admitted he'd been working double shifts to pay for his wife's cancer treatments. Adam remembered. The next week, Marilyn arranged for Frank's wife to see the best cancer doctor in New York, and she covered all the treatments. She made Frank promise to never tell anyone where the help came from. These acts of kindness weren't occasional, they were constant. Marilyn would pay rent for struggling families, buy groceries for elderly neighbors, send anonymous donations to children's charities. She lived like someone who understood that her success was temporary, but her ability to help people was immediate, Adam said. This is where Adam learned Marilyn's darkest secret, and it would haunt him for the rest of his life. December 1959, the secret that changed Adam forever. The revelation that hit Adam the hardest came on December 3, 1959, during what seemed like just another ordinary evening at Marilyn's apartment. Adam found Marilyn in her study, writing frantically in a leather journal. When she looked up, her eyes were red from crying. "Adam, can I trust you with something that would destroy me if it ever got out?" she asked. What Marilyn revealed that night was that she'd been secretly pregnant 3 times during her marriage to Joe DiMaggio, and had miscarried each time. The loss of these children had left her with grief so deep it affected everything in her life. She told me that every time she acted, every time she performed, she was trying to create something beautiful enough to honor the children she'd lost. Adam remembered, his voice still emotional decades later. She said, "I want my work to be worthy of the love I would have given them." This explains so many things Adam had noticed. Marilyn's special connection with kids, her desperate need to be worthy of love, and her tendency to give so much of herself to others that she had nothing left for herself. She showed me this little music box she kept in her desk drawer, Adam said. She told me she'd bought it for her first baby, and she wound it up every night as a way of saying goodnight to all the children she'd never had. January 1960, fighting the Hollywood machine. As Adam started his second year with Marilyn, he began understanding the bigger picture of her struggles. The Hollywood system, he realized, was designed to consume its stars, not support them. Studio executives would call her at all hours demanding appearances, interviews, photo shoots. They treated her like a product, not a human being, Adam observed, and when she tried to set boundaries, they'd threaten her career. Adam watched Marilyn navigate impossible choices, show up to a publicity event when she was physically and emotionally destroyed, or risk being labeled difficult and losing future opportunities. She'd come home from these events completely wiped out, but she'd still spend time reading fan mail and returning calls to people who needed her, Adam said. She was giving everything she had to everyone else, and the system just kept demanding more. What made Adam angriest was watching industry people dismiss Marilyn's intelligence and talent. She'd spend weeks preparing for a role, researching the character, working with acting coaches. Then some director would treat her like she was just there to look pretty. It crushed her every single time. February 1960, the phone call that almost broke her. The incident that came closest to breaking Marilyn's spirit happened on February 18th. Adam answered the phone at Marilyn's apartment and immediately recognized the voice as Gladys Baker, Marilyn's mother. Gladys called maybe twice a year, always when she needed money, Adam remembered. But this call was different. She was furious, almost incoherent, screaming about how Marilyn had ruined her life. Marilyn took the phone, and Adam watched her face crumble as her mother threw accusations and blame at her for almost 20 minutes. Her mother told her that her existence was a mistake, that she'd destroyed her chances for happiness, Adam said. After she hung up, Marilyn sat on the floor and cried for 3 straight hours. That night, Marilyn asked Adam a question that revealed the source of all her insecurities. If your own mother can't love you, how can you ever believe anyone else really can? Adam's response became one of the most important conversations of their relationship. I told her, Miss Monroe, maybe your mother was too messed up by her own pain to see how incredible you are. That's her loss, not your failure. The millions of people who love your work, the friends who care about you, the strangers whose lives you've touched, that love is real, even if your mother couldn't give it to you. But you haven't heard the most incredible moment yet, because what Marilyn did next showed who she really was deep down. June 1960, Thursday, the day Marilyn saved a life. The incident that most clearly showed Marilyn's true character happened on June 22, 1960, during what was supposed to be a simple shopping trip in Manhattan. As they walked down Fifth Avenue, Adam noticed a crowd gathering around a building. Some young guy, maybe in his early 20s, was standing on a 4th-floor fire escape, apparently getting ready to jump. Most people were just staring and gawking, Adam remembered, but Marilyn immediately started pushing through the crowd toward the building. Before Adam could stop her, Marilyn had convinced the building super to let her go up to the 4th floor. When she got to the window near the fire escape, she started talking to the young man. I could hear her from the street, Adam said. She wasn't trying to talk him down with fake positivity or BS reassurance. She was talking to him about real pain, about feeling like the world was too much to handle. The conversation lasted almost an hour. Marilyn shared her own battles with depression, her experiences of feeling completely overwhelmed by life, and her belief that pain was temporary but suicide was permanent. She told him, I know you can't see it right now, but there are people in this world who need you to stay, not because of what you can do for them, but because of who you are. Don't rob them of the chance to love you. The young man eventually came inside, and Marilyn spent another 2 hours with him and his family, connecting them with mental health resources and making sure he had support. She never told anyone about that incident, Adam said. No press, no publicity. She just saw someone in pain and used her own experience to help him. That was Marilyn at her most real. August 1960, the beginning of the end. As Adam's time with Marilyn entered its 3rd year, he started noticing changes that worried him. The constant pressure, the failed marriage to Arthur Miller, and the ongoing battles with studio executives were taking a visible toll. She started talking more about death, Adam remembered. Not in a suicidal way, but philosophically. She'd ask questions like, "Do you think people will remember me for anything besides how I looked? Or what happens to all the love we give when we're gone?" Marilyn also started giving away personal stuff to friends and staff, claiming she was simplifying her life. "She gave me a watch that had belonged to her foster dad," Adam said. "She told me, 'I want you to have something that matters to me, so you'll remember that this job wasn't just about protecting my body, it was about protecting someone who mattered.'" September 1961, the hardest decision. In September 1961, Adam made the painful decision to leave his job as Marilyn's bodyguard. The emotional toll of the job was starting to destroy him too. "I loved Marilyn like a sister," Adam said. "But watching someone you care about slowly fall apart and not being able to fix it was killing me too." His final conversation with Marilyn was one of the most emotional moments of his life. "She thanked me for seeing her as a person, not just as Marilyn Monroe," Adam remembered. She said, "You've been the one person in my life who wanted to protect me without wanting something from me in return. That meant everything." Marilyn gave Adam a letter that he didn't open until after she died in 1962. In it, she wrote, "Dear Adam, thank you for being my shield when I couldn't protect myself, and for being my friend when I forgot how to be one to myself. You saw me at my worst, and somehow still believed I was worth protecting. I hope someday I become the person you thought I was. All my love, Norma Jean." The truth after 60 years of silence. Looking back on his 3 years with Marilyn Monroe, Adam Walsh sees a complex woman who was both stronger and more fragile than the public ever knew. Marilyn wasn't the tragic victim people think she was, Adam said. She was a fighter who battled incredible demons while still managing to give love and support to hundreds of other people. She wasn't destroyed by weakness, she was destroyed by the strength it took to keep caring in a world that wanted to consume her. Adam kept Marilyn's secrets for over 60 years, but now at 89, he feels it's important for people to understand who she really was. People remember Marilyn Monroe as a sex symbol or as a tragic figure, Adam said. But I remember her as the woman who stayed up all night talking a stranger out of suicide, who paid for a taxi driver's wife's cancer treatment, who cried over fan letters from lonely teenagers, and who never stopped trying to be worthy of the love she got. What this all means, Adam Walsh's revelations about Marilyn Monroe show us a woman who was way more complex than her public image suggested. She was intelligent, compassionate, and deeply committed to using her platform to help others. But she was also carrying emotional wounds that never fully healed. "Marilyn taught me that being strong doesn't mean not struggling," Adam concluded. "It means continuing to care about other people even when your own heart is breaking. She did that every single day for the 3 years I knew her, and probably for her entire life." Today, Adam Walsh lives quietly in a Florida retirement community, but he still keeps Marilyn's watch and the letter she gave him. He says protecting Marilyn Monroe was both the most difficult and most meaningful job of his life. "People ask me what I want them to remember about Marilyn," Adam said. "I want them to remember that she was kind. In a business that rewarded selfishness, in a world that tried to make her hard, she stayed kind. That's Marilyn's real legacy. Not how she looked or how she died, but how much love she managed to give while she was here. Because sometimes the most important protection we can offer someone isn't from outside threats, but from a world that refuses to see their humanity." And for 3 years, Adam Walsh had the privilege of protecting one of the most genuinely human people he ever met. What strikes you most about the difference between Marilyn's public image and who she really was? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you want more incredible untold stories about the real people behind Hollywood legends, smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Thumbnail text, Saknekleri. Anna Maytin. Bodyguard breaks 60-year silence. Alt Maytin. What he saw shocked him. Alternatifler. 3 years of secrets revealed. Finally tells the truth. Marilyn's hidden reality. Bu kombinasyon merak uyandırırken güvenilirlik de sağlıyor. Video açıklaması. For over 6 decades, Adam Walsh kept his promise. As Marilyn Monroe's personal bodyguard from 1959 to 1961, He witnessed her most private moments and devastating struggles. Now, at 89 years old, he's finally ready to reveal the shocking truth about the woman behind the legend. What Adam reveals: her secret 3 a.m. suicide prevention calls, the heartbreaking truth about her lost pregnancies, how she anonymously saved lives through charity, why she was terrified to leave her apartment, the day she talked a stranger off a building ledge, her mother's devastating phone calls that broke her spirit, the final letter she gave him before he left. For 3 years, Adam didn't just protect Marilyn's body, he protected her humanity in a world that wanted to consume her. His revelations show a woman who was far stronger and more fragile than anyone ever knew. This is the untold story of Marilyn Monroe's real life, told by the one man who saw it all and kept her secrets for 60 years. What do you think about the difference between Marilyn's public image and private reality? Share your thoughts below. Subscribe for more untold Hollywood secrets.